So let's take back. So you've signed Volvo. You're working with Volvo. Obviously, tell us about what some of the other challenges that you face. I think that it's really interesting. I think as a founder or CEO of a company, not just to focus on your wins, but also focus on some of the challenges and sort of areas of improvement, whether that's from a product side or it's a go-to-market standpoint. And we'll come on to later, obviously, the plan that we're looking at to do in the future. But what are some of the key things that you learned in that first year to 18 months?
There's probably two sides I would come back to. There are team things. So keeping a team running full throttle when it's all, just a moment ago I said, you meet people that are like philosophically aligned to the way that you are. The way we are is, in a way, lots of portfolio working, fractional approaches. So there is that thing of how to keep moving forwards with, I suppose it's limited resources. The resources are like guaranteed because they're a co-founding team. The people involved own part of the company, but we're having to balance, availability of people and resource like utilization with what we need to do for sales, demos, developing features. So I'm mentioning it without a solution. I can sit here and say, Matt, I don't know if I've cracked this. My only advice to anybody is, you get into it anyway, allowing enough contingency on everything that you're working on, just because when you're in startup mode, it is tricky to ask someone for like, could you just do that few more hours this evening to help us get over this hump on something that we're doing?
Yeah.
And sorry, we just don't have any revenue at the moment. So until we have more funding, we can't pay you either. And I know you own some of the company, but this is like, well, so what? Owning some of the company is only valuable at some future state where we either take, if we took an investment or we were sold or something like this. So it's all exciting when there's shareholdings and advisory packages. But there's a limited amount of persuasion that you can apply with that when you move forward. So look, Matt, there's all this people side, and we've had different people come through and so on and so forth. But the co-founding team are still there. So things learned, but I definitely couldn't write a book on how to do it. Now the other side
take up too much time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, the other side is like, Matt, why you're here. So we worked together at Carlytics. You were running sales for a whole territory. My team would support you with analytics and all those sorts of things. So I'd seen what you can do. And you talk about like, go to market. And that's really where I had little experience in this. And on reflection, we sort of have done everything. We've tried everything for growth. And it's just a mixed bag of success. So I can sort of tell you that I have learned, we've tried content marketing, sort of on the LinkedIn platform, and it probably works depending on what you measure. There's like this is the learning, like lots of engagement. Like it's machine learning, and what it can do is a high engagement category. Sort of translating that into calls and demo calls is like aha. So I had no experience of this. I was just stoked to see that we can drive engagement and interest in our product, but then the conversion to, I suppose it's for lots of salespeople. How do we move through the funnel? I was less knowledgeable at some of that, and then we sort of have moved through different phases. Really, the Volvo account meant we could take an events strategy and do presentations at conferences and so on, and we've done that. That is pretty interesting. I know a lot of people will listen to this and just think, this is what's the ROI on that? Is really hard to figure out.
In the short term, especially.
You've seen me snap at our own team when we talk about ROI. It's extremely difficult to figure out when you're small. Of like, well, hang on, people 2 years later tell me, oh God, I remember that thing when you were at Valencia. I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. So like the concept of awareness is real for all brands, and we've had 3 big events, Matt, and they all paid off in some way, in terms of either new connections or something. But it's probably the immediate results that you're seeking are probably not part of it. So I can kind of say, go to market. I feel like I've learned, LinkedIn and the role of social, I'm learning about, and probably has to be done a different way. Hoping for your help with that. The event side, I think, is a good shout for probably early in a brand's life cycle. I don't believe we need to do as much of that going forwards. Time will tell. And lastly, we tried lots of direct channels. So as you know, we've there are quite on paper it's good value to try like prospecting platforms that do like email marketing campaigns and try to reach your buyers in potential buyers in quite a targeted way. You've been close to that, and we have explored that. Negligible results. So it kind of the learnings are go to market stuff is difficult. The times that it works, what I can tell you is the times it works best. The times it works best is when it's probably so bleeding obvious, it's untrue, but when you get to spend time with a customer and you actually get down to, hey, what is the use case? Can you tell me a bit more about this? And my experience comes into play then. So people like it. Yeah, people like it when they I listen and I say, here's where I've seen this before. Here's what we've done somewhere else. Here's why it went well. And when we reach that point, we move forward nicely. It's the kind of, I suppose it would be like the nailing the upper funnel bit, nailing our awareness and movement through funnel. That top part of it is harder. So we're still working on that, Matt, as you know. But when we get a bit lower down and we get good intros, referrals, or the calls go well. But it's just making sure we've got a steady drip of leads, so and the right leads. So then the second part can take effect.
Absolutely.